Hey everyone, I'm John Giesick, your host of the C-Suite Sherpa podcast, where we highlight business resources and people that you should know. Today, we have a special guest. His name is Matthew Shipp. He is the founder and lead facilitator at Emberi Solutions, where they focus on business solutions and profit priority. Matthew, welcome to the podcast. Why don't you start off giving us a little snapshot about your business
Mhm.
and the major outcomes you help your clients get?
All right, great. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
So, yeah, my business is called Emberi Solutions. In simple terms, I address the pain of inefficient team collaboration, unclear process, and difficulty in scaling the business. So, I essentially pull on the knowledge that's already there in your team, in your business decision making team, to guide or facilitate your way through these difficult decision making and problem solving ventures you have to do in everybody's business.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for that, Matthews. Tell me a bit about who your ideal customers are and who you're able to help the most.
So my ideal customer is a business owner who likes to kick the tires of their own business. They like to try different things. They're very proactive individual, but they also really value their team leadership, their C-suite. They truly take into account their opinion, not just say they're doing it. There's a lot of people like to check that box and say they're doing it versus the ones who actually do it. Those are the people I really want to work with. The industry doesn't matter so much as long as you are looking to grow your business in any way, whether it's ability, growth, more profit, but you have certain roadblocks ahead of you, or you have roadblocks, you don't know where they are. That's where I come in. I help your team discover those and create solutions and test those solutions on the end.
Yeah, that's great, Matthew. You remind me of a client, and we do a lot of these interviews, and there's people that should have an outside consultant give them some advice,
Yeah.
and there's people that need to have it. So the guys that should have it
Mhm.
usually do it reluctantly, but the guys that need it are actively searching for a guy like you, for sure. I
Yeah.
totally get that.
Yeah.
So as you move forward, Matthew, what separates your business? I mean, you're pretty niche, but what separates your business from everybody else out there that does what you do?
I believe the facilitation approach is an ever growing need, and it's just educating people on how that works. And what I think was unique about me is I'm not a consultant. I don't come in with expertise in your business. I come in as an open facilitator. I don't need to know anything about your industry, your business. I'm pulling on your team's expertise. And I think that's the unique piece. I'm giving ways of really getting the best ideas out, creating solutions towards those ideas, and pursuing them, making them actionable. So, a lot of sessions, a lot of meetings, a lot of workshops, I call workshop theater because you got a lot of rah rah. And by the time you're done with it, 30 minutes later, you're like, what did we do? We felt good, but that's the end of it. So I'm a little bit more, okay, we're going to design experiments around those solutions. And that doesn't mean this is the end all be all. By fine tuning, doing little tasks, finding out what works and what doesn't work, you start shedding those things that don't work, keep what does, and those are going to inform what you do next. Slowly, you come down to a temporary North Star towards whatever that problem was, and your solution starts getting more and more refined. To get you there, you need to collectively get everybody's ideas on the table, almost semi anonymously, and then as a group choose what you want to work towards. And then you just kind of the same process for solutions. I step in and guide that, facilitate that measure. But in order to do that, first I'd find out what your challenges are.
I understand that totally. You got to go through some sort of discovery
Mm-hmm.
phase to find out if it's a
Yeah.
good fit,
Mm-hmm.
all those details that make sure you want to move forward with the client. I totally get that. I see that you had something called the Profit Priority Workshop. Can you explain to
Yeah.
us what that is?
The profit priority workshop, or sometimes I call it the profit priority matrix. I just kind of switch in between because it has a lot of matrices in it that helps you. So I've noticed that a lot of entrepreneurial minded business owners, well, that's where they started. Now they're having to transition to become a business owner. And there's sometimes if you keep that entrepreneurial strict mind, you're constantly chasing the next new problem, next new idea, next new challenge, and it be kind of backs up into your business and you kind of get a little overwhelmed of what to do next, what to move forward with. And you either do one of two things. You either try all of them and really get a little bit each one done and can't remember where you were last time, or you kind of freeze and you don't get anything done and you just maintain the line with your business. We have all these ideas to scale, but we don't know which one to use. I help get the owner and that team out of the forest of ever moving ideas and get them out on paper, on the whiteboard, sticky notes, whatever. One of the ones I like is this profit priority matrix. Usually they have all these ideas. And what I do is I help them develop a keystone. The keystone, I just named the keystone because I'm here in St. Louis and we have the arch. And without the keystone, the arch would fall over. So you're developing a keystone for your business, which is essentially a purpose statement for where you are towards your vision. So this isn't a vision statement. This is your purpose, where you are right now with your business going towards your vision. Once we establish that, then we establish the biggest risks that could keep you from attaining that purpose. That becomes sort of a filter for all of your ideas. We run those ideas through that filter, and if they don't check all the boxes, avoid the risks, and if they don't meet the purpose statement, they're cutting room floor. They're left out. Only the ones that check all the boxes go through. So you've already started with a lot fewer. And I've had people come up with as many. I had a fractional CFO came up. I give people 6 minutes to come up with ideas. She came up with almost 60. It was impressive. I think the reason she was able to do it is we were doing a remote workshop and she was able to type fast. So I felt my workshop starting to pop at the seams. But when I started with her at 60, we got it down to about 8 ideas in the end. Now, I've since then refined it a bit more, and I've worked with other people, and we usually get down to 3 or 4 good ideas or projects they want to work on. We do several things in that, and then you create a priority of these projects, and now you know what you want to focus on over the next 12 to 18 months, maybe 24 months. And then if we want to work beyond that, we can start road mapping those projects and finding out what within those projects needs to be done within certain amounts of time. But the first part of it is prioritizing all your ideas. So that's my profit priority matrix.
They're going to need a roadmap, a priority list. I mean, there's usually a lot of stuff going on, and someone needs to help them sort that out. What about your industry and the obstacles that you foresee coming up in your industry, and how are you going to be prepared to handle those?
The industry is education. That's why I'm here today.
For sure.
And as businesses understanding what facilitation is and how it can work for them, and how a lot of facilitators like myself develop bespoke workshops. So I talked about the profit priority matrix, but I've never run it the same way twice. It has a backbone, but depending on how you work, I will adapt it to that. It's a problem-solving measure. It's like having that guy in your business that you wish you could ask, like, hey, can you do this? Can you solve this? Can you look into this? Because usually you're asking anybody else that's already doing a job in the business to add on to the pile of what they're already doing. And that stuff kind of falls down the priority. So I like to think of them kind of like that piece of glue between all your business functions and processes. Start to look for the bottlenecks. I help find solutions, but I'm pulling on the expertise of everybody, but I'm not wasting their time by having them go and doing the research. I'm asking them, taking it down, and comparing all of that. So, okay, I kind of lost where we were.
No, I was asking you about that, and you explained it well. So
Okay.
I wanted to follow up with this. We talked about short-term obstacles. What about 5, 10 years down the road? Where do you see your industry excelling, and where do you see your industry getting tripped up?
I see the industry excelling by people starting to incorporate professional facilitators within their company. I see it tripping up by facilitators starting to follow too much of a roadmap. Like, this is the way this has to be done. A good example, if anybody knows what agile is a way a lot of IT teams work. Now there's a lot of articles out there about it being dead because it's kind of been abused and sped up to the point that it's no longer effective. So I'm afraid that, facilitation could become that. It could become a way of rubber stamping. Oh, you have this problem, do this exercise. People that like to experiment with ideas and continue to experiment despite what's happening and making it more bespoke, making it adaptable. That's where the facilitation will excel. Those are the two, I think, where it falls and where it continues to excel.
That goes back to your point where you've never done that same program twice, that it's always different. So your customized solutions are tailored to your customer versus the rubber stamping. Oh, you're doing this?
Yeah.
We all seen those guys that already have the solutions prepared. They didn't even hear the whole problem yet, but they're all like, "Oh yeah, I already know how to fix that." Well, if you don't take the time to learn the specifics about what this guy's doing and what the company's going through, and you rubber stamp it, you're not going to end up helping them. All right, so we're going to take the last couple minutes. We're going to loosen the tie a little bit, Matthew, so we could relax a little bit. I'm just going to pepper you with some lightning round questions, and
All
you could just
right.
let people get to know you a little bit more on a personal level. How's
Yeah,
that? You ready to go?
let me have it.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Always coffee.
Always coffee all
Well,
day?
not always coffee. Tea when I'm not feeling well, but coffee 99% of the time.
Is that an all day beverage for you?
Sometimes, regrettably, make sure you have good
We're
coffee.
business owners.
Yeah, make sure you have good coffee.
That's it. Dogs or cats?
Oh man, this is a 50-50 call. Right now I have a cat,
Yeah.
but I've grown up with dogs. I don't know. I guess I'll, for the time being, since I have a cat, I'll
Say cats, just in case he's listening. So, zombie apocalypse. If you could only grab one item, one tool, one thing, what are you taking with?
one tool, one thing. Besides my family, a very large hammer.
Perfect. We'll call you Thor on the
There
side.
we go.
So, favorite quote. Give me a quote that you often think about or go back to, maybe something you heard along the way that really stuck with you. Hit home.
Oh man. I hope I can remember this correctly. It's by Shakespeare. I'm going to have to paraphrase. Our fears are our enemies that often keep us from moving forward. It's
Yeah.
much more eloquent. I just cannot remember it word for word.
Yeah. He said it better, right? But yeah, we
Yeah.
got the gist of it. What about favorite movie? Watching any streaming series? What are you watching right now that you're really enjoying?
Favorite movies? Funny enough, I just finished the whole series of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit with my 8-year-old son. He had a blast. So I'll have to
Oh,
go with
awesome.
that.
Yeah, that's your new favorite, right?
Yes.
What about book? If you're currently reading a book, share with us what you're reading. If not, just give us your favorite book.
I am currently reading Scale Up. It's kind of a boring business book, but it's more research onto how to use, fill in my skill set further. Favorite book I recommend to a lot of people is The Introvert's Guide to Networking, and that's by Matthew Pollard.
Awesome.
Very good stuff in there.
That's somebody else recommended that book as well. Bucket list. Give me an item you've already accomplished and give me something that's still left on there to check off.
Item I've already accomplished is I used to be in the research world as a molecular plant biologist, and I did manage to get an experiment up to the space station.
Wow, that's
Uh,
awesome.
that was cool.
Yeah.
Or I was kind of I wasn't the direct scientist to get up there, but my research led to getting it there. And the one I want to accomplish is I went to hike Hadrian's Wall with my wife.
To do what? Say
Hike
that again.
Hadrian's Wall.
Tell me what that is.
Hadrian's Wall is the Roman wall that divided England from Scotland.
Yeah.
It's still there. Hadrian built the wall, and you can still remnants of it, and you can actually hike the whole thing all the way across from one end to the other. And there are porters that will porter your stuff to each bed and breakfast, and you just keep on hiking all the way through it, and just walking through that history would be really neat.
Oh, that sounds awesome. When you get that done, you're going to come back on and tell us about it.
All right, will do.
All right, last one. Think back about the biggest obstacle that you personally had to overcome to get your business to where it is right now.
Well, personally, to overcome was just believing I could do it and stepping out from my corporate research and taking that first step. I always call it baby steps in the dark, because if you try to take too big of a step, you're going to fall off the cliff. So little tiny steps. And I think that's kind of what's kept me going for the ups and the downs. Just the next small little step. What's the next small thing you can do?
Great. Thanks. Hey, thanks for playing along, Matthew. I
No problem.
appreciate it. So listen, people are going to be watching this. They're going to want to reach out to you. What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
They can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I respond to almost every DM, and also through my email, emberisolutions.com. The best way to reach out to me, those are the two best ways.
Okay. You want to drop your website too?
Yeah, it's emberisolutions.com.
I'll put it in the show notes.
emberisolutions.com.
Great. It was great to meet you, Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the conversation and we'll connect soon.
Oh, and one last thing. I also have a podcast called Harvest to Pour, the business of beverages, where I look behind the business behind the beverage. It's really neat. It's great market research, great B2B. I bring in other people that help the business, the beverage industry as well. So marketers and bankers. And so they're all kind of, it's really a neat B2B style of podcasts that, yes, I focus on the beverage industry, but the problems they have are ubiquitous amongst all companies. But if you just enjoy beverages, coffee, wine, beer, bourbon, it's also a neat way to get kind of look behind the curtain a bit more.
Oh, that's great. And can we find that info on your LinkedIn page or you got a separate place for that?
I got a separate place for that.
Go ahead,
So
tell us.
if you just search Harvest to Pour Business of Beverages on iTunes or Spotify, and you'll find it.
Sounds great. Hey, I
All right.
appreciate it, Matthew.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.